Hi, just a really quick video about transformers. You know how much I like transformers, and I hope you've watched some of my other transformer videos and have learned something about transformers. I wanted to show you something really quick before we shipped it off to the customer, because it may be the only time that you ever get to see one of these. What we have here are two sort of standard run-of-the-mill NuTone power transformers. This is a transformer for a series 2090, were made in the late 60s through the mid 70s, and it's rated at 30 volts at 20 watts. Here we have another one. I'm not sure which one this is exactly. It has a replacement part number on it. I think it's 24 volts at 20 VA. That wouldn't really be a intercom transformer. That would be probably more of a furnace transformer. It is a NuTone, and no, I don't know why it's here. It's got a part number on it, 40614, so I'll have to look it up and see. It might have just floated into the bin mysteriously at some point. But the point of it is, these are sort of standard size transformer. You can see if you lay this one down like this, they're pretty close to the same size. And to give you some idea of scale, this is a standard 3-inch octagonal electrical junction box, and this is what you would find in a lot of houses that your transformer would be mounted on the front of. There would be a round plate, and the transformer would be mounted onto the plate, and it would sit on your wall like this. And while these transformers are all well and good, and this is what most people will find in their houses, these aren't real transformers. Let me show you what a real transformer looks like. Here's a real transformer. How about that? That's a transformer for a NuTone model N2500 or N2600 Stereo Music Intercom. And as you can see, if we take one of these little puny ones here and put it in my hand, you know, it's a nice little handful, and that's all swell and good. But we pick up its big brother here, and you can see it's much, much larger. And it weighs about 8 pounds. How about that? It's got really big bell ends on it. And this is a permanently mounted transformer, and believe it or not, it mounts in the top of the wall housing for the 2500 or 2600. That's what these long bolts here are for. And you take the nuts off, and it's got these tubes over the threads, and you put it up on the plate and you bolt it in place, and it actually sits up inside the wall cavity above the wall housing. I'm not sure how they got by with that with UL and everything, but apparently they did. And the wire harness here, it comes down through an opening into the wall housing. That's how it installs. It's not a common transformer. I have a customer who needs this because we recently rebuilt his 2600 receiver, and he got it back and he went to install it, and he found that the transformer, he said, is shorted out, and when he powered up the transformer, it kicked the circuit breaker in his sub panel and everything shut off. So, and we know it's not the receiver because it was just fixed. He did some basic troubleshooting with the help of a local electrician, and the electrician determined that, yes, indeed, the transformer is shorted out. What we have on the back side here, we have two sets of wiring that come out of the primary side, and this is another thing that's kind of interesting. These type of transformers, you have a primary side here with the wires, and this is the 110 volt side, and then you have the secondary side, which is where the screw terminals are that you would connect the wires that run off to your master station. This one is different because you've got primary and secondary on the same end, coming out of the same bell housing. And these black and white wires here, these are the 110 volt wires, and these wire in through a switch on the receiver, and when you turn the switch on, the switch switches the black, not the neutral, and it sends power to the transformer, powers it up. Then the low voltage comes out of this other colored wiring harness here. You've got this 8-pin plug, Molex connector on the end, and that plugs into a socket on the back of the 25 or 2600 receiver. It's kind of an interesting design. It's the only transformer that NuTone ever used like this. It's a big old beast, and they don't typically have problems. but this customer says he has one with a problem. I've already tested this one and we're going to pack it up and send it off to him. I did tell him that we're going to want the other one back because these are ultra rare transformers and I'm not sure why it would be shorted out. It seems unlikely to me that the windings would be shorted, although I don't know. It would be possibly more likely that where the 110 wires go into the end of the bell housing here through the opening, that maybe for some reason they've rubbed through the insulation onto the metal housing and that's where it's shorted out. And it may be possible to remove the end and see if that's something that we could repair and then save the transformer from the trash. You'll get to see that because when I get it back I'll probably make a video about taking it apart. I'm not sure how involved that's going to actually be. This is all sort of sealed and potted. Potting is different types of compounds that are often put inside transformers around the windings, and then the bell housings are put on to deaden it and make it quieter. This type of transformer, because of the amount of power it can produce, if it becomes noisy it could be quite loud, and it's also up inside the wall housing, or up above the wall housing, which is a big void in the wall cavity, and it would sort of amplify the sound and you possibly could hear it. It's also got a coating or a potting on the outside also, and I think this was all primarily done to help deaden it so it doesn't become noisy. So when I get it back, he said it'll be a while before he gets it back to me, but he promised he would send it, that we'll take it apart and see what happened to it and see if maybe we can fix it. As for this particular one, this is an unusual transformer because it has a lot of different outputs. There are 6 different voltage outputs, and then there are some center taps also for the different taps on the windings, and I might do a video about transformer taps at sometimes if anybody really cares. So it puts out a lot of different voltages. You've got a 40 volt output, a 26 volt output, and a 46 volt output. I looked through the service manuals and all the diagrams and drawings I could find, and I couldn't come up with a wattage rating for this, but just sort of based on its size and knowing what it's powering, I would guess that this probably has a wattage rating of somewhere around, could be 175 or 200 watts. It's quite large, it's quite heavy, and it's powering a fairly good sized receiver with a pretty good sized stereo amplifier in it. So you need a lot of current to drive all of that. So that's really all there is to it. I just wanted to give you a chance to see something like this because it's something that probably even most NuTone guys don't ever get to see, and I thought you might find it interesting. So we got the big granddad transformer here, and then we got the little tiny ones sitting next to it, the little pup transformers. I hope you found this interesting and perhaps helpful. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up on YouTube because that always helps. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell or on the wheel, put in your email address, and every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.